G'day everyone, Viv here. I hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to Knights of Dice. I wanted to have a really quick chat about some changes that we're discussing in the studio to how we manufacture our foam trays, and more specifically the engraving that we do on the sides of the trays, how that influences our production and how that influences the cost for you guys. So let's have a bit of a closer look and run through the options that we're thinking about. So right now, when we manufacture our trays, we go ahead, we cut the shapes out of the tray that we need. These get put aside and glued to a base layer. That stack of foam then gets moved again down to the back towards the lasers, where we find a specific jig for this size foam. Now this tray is 35mm and it has an 8mm base layer on there, so the trays are nice and firm even when they're full of models. Once we find the right jig, and I'll explain that problem in just a second, we pop the trays into the lasers up this way, and then we go ahead and engrave a logo on one corner and then the name of the tray in the middle there. Now the first problem that we have here is that sometimes when we get this foam from our manufacturers, we get it in large sheets, and obviously we pop it into our lasers and cut out the shapes and cut out the shape of the tray. Sometimes the thickness of this foam can vary by a millimetre. It might be 34mm, it might be 35, it might be 36. Anything further than that and we send it back to them. Sometimes we do get foam that's 38mm and we send that back. Sometimes it's 37, sometimes it's 33, but we allow for a 1mm variation. Now, because of that, we have different 35mm jigs. When this sits in the jig and the laser's running back and forward engraving this detail, there's air coming out of the laser, which makes this tray wobble a little bit. Now, if it's wobbling in the jig when the laser's engraving, you get very distorted wording along the top here. It doesn't look very nice. So the first problem that we have is locating and finding the right size jig for the right type of foam. That all adds time to the engraving process, which therefore influences the cost. So aside from the handling of the material, once we cut this out, we bring it over to where we glue them. We glue the tray, then they go back to the laser area. Then we've got to find the right sort of jig. Then we've got to engrave the tray, and then obviously we take it out, we store it on the shelves, and when we sell these to either direct or to our retailers, obviously we're picking and packing and sending out the orders. This whole engraving of the name on the side of the tray, it adds a significant amount of time and a significant amount of handling. So what I'm thinking of doing, and what we've been discussing, is not engraving anything on the side of the tray. Instead, clipping onto the tray here, the barcode and name of the tray, and on the back of this we'll put what this tray holds. So specifically for the retailers, because at the moment when these trays are in a retail shop, they have this little name on the side of it, so they can stack them all up in a stack like this somewhere in their shop, and people can quickly and easily see what trays are there, and they can reach in and grab whichever tray they want. Now, that works very well for the retailers because they can see what sort of tray it is. They can look up in their database, this is a Rebels tray, or what's this top one, the infantry small tray, and they can put their sale through. However, having the barcode on the tray is much, much quicker. They just can scan this and off they go. They don't have to look up any database tables or anything like that. They've got a barcode that they can actually scan. The consumer can still see what the tray is, even if they're in a stack sitting on the shelf here. You can see the tag is attached to a tray, and they can have a look at the name and what it contains, etc. So that's the change that I'm thinking about making to the foam trays. So what does all this mean for the cost of the trays? Now at the moment, these 35mm trays, all of our 35mm trays are in this size here. When we bought Laser Touch from Craig, he was selling these trays for $28. Now, the change that I'm talking about making with the engraving, coupled with some changes to how we actually cut the trays, I've found some better ways to cut the foam. It's faster, it's cleaner. When we cut deeper bits of foam, we get a much more even shape all the way through, rather than the beveling that was happening before. Sometimes there was a little bit of burning that would happen on the foam. I've come up with a way that works for us, and it makes it a lot faster. Well, somewhat faster, again depending on the thickness of the foam. So the changes to how we produce the trays and whether or not we include this engraving has a fairly significant influence on the price of the tray. So as I was saying, Craig used to sell these for $28. With the changes to the technology and how we cut the tray, I can probably reduce that cost down to around $24. So you're saving yourself about $4. By removing the engraving, standard engraving, we'll still offer the option on our website for you to engrave a name on the tray. So whether you want to have that name or not, you can pick one. You can pick that option and we'll engrave it on there for you. But as a default option, if we don't include the engraving on the side of the tray, I can drop the price of that tray probably down to around $18, $19, $20, somewhere around there. Maybe perhaps even less. So it's a fairly significant difference. Even if we say I can drop these with the changes in technology to cutting the shapes and adding a swing tag to it, not a swing tag, sorry, a connected barcode, dropping that down to $18, that's $10 per tray. That's a fairly significant difference. Now, my question to you is, how important is this engraving on the side of the tray? If you went into your retail shop, your local retail shop here in Australia, and our products are available in retail shops all across Australia, and if they don't have them, ask them to talk to their distributor. Let's Play Games distributes a lot of our products at the moment, so ask them to talk to their distributor, and they should be able to get the products in store for you, whether they stock them or order them in. I don't know, that's up to them. So my question to you is, how important is this name on the side of the tray? If you can walk into your retail store, look through the trays, look at the barcodes, or look at the name on the little tag here, have a look what the tray holds or what it's been designed for, specifically in the case of X-Wing. Obviously this tray, you could fit anything into it that's going to fit in that little rectangular slot. How important is that? Because if it's not important to the majority of people who use our trays and our bag systems, then I can make these trays significantly cheaper for you. But it depends whether you want to have a name on the side of your tray. And if you do want to have the name on the side of the tray, then the cost will be somewhere similar, around $25, $26 by the time I take into account the changes in the manufacturing technology and process. They will still be a little bit cheaper, but without the name, I can make them significantly cheaper. Like I said, the amount of manhandling that goes into putting the name on the side of these trays is, in my opinion, not worth the expense. Most of the trays that we have available are trays that I've used in the past. I've never had a name engraved on the side of them. I don't want a name engraved on the side of them. All of my custom trays that I make here and the other guys in the studio and custom trays that we make for other people don't have a name engraved on the side of them. So why should our standard default trays have that name? Like I said, the option will still be there for you if you buy direct from our website. But as a default offering, instead of $28, I can drop the price of this 35mm tray down to $18. Don't quote me, somewhere around there, might be cheaper. What should I do? Should I go ahead and make this change to our process? Because for us, it's significantly better. It's easier. For you, it's obviously cheaper. How important is that name on the side of the tray? I really would love your feedback. Thank you so much. I'll catch you next time. See ya.